It's gonna be something like that. How does that look? I don't know if I should put these things straight up and down with the way the frame is sitting right now, or if I should put them 90 degrees to this. I don't know what's gonna look better. I don't know, maybe somewhere in the middle? Something like that. Let's try that. So, originally I was thinking of just having the tubing going from there to here, but when I stand back and look at this, I don't know, it just kind of looks a little goofy. But when I lower this, like this, either level or slightly lower, I think that just looks a little bit better, and then I can have more tubing going from here up to the main hoop. Also, the major question is, once I tack these in place, am I going to be able to get the engine out of the frame? That's kind of important. So I think if I lift this up slightly and rotate this, I think it will be able to fit through here because it's more narrow this way than it is this way. I just have to make sure that the mounts that are going to go from the engine to here are removable, so therefore I can rotate this thing easily. And I think I will be able to get this engine out of the frame. I don't know. What do y'all think? This or this? This or this? This? I know this is not really that important, but I don't know. I put these on and I'm just like, I don't like it. And just that just looks a little bit better. come on. There it goes. Yeah, this airbox looks like it's a lot shorter than the one for the CBR 1000, so it should be pretty easy to protect this thing. So, next thing I want to work on is the front tubing, the tube that's going to go from here up to the front bumper, but we do need to kind of have the shocks tacked into place to kind of get an idea of where those need to be and make sure that they're not in the way of anything. But a couple weeks ago, I ordered the shocks for the front suspension. I normally could find these things pretty easily on eBay, but I couldn't find them because I'm trying to get the 2.0 with 8 inches of travel. I couldn't find them on eBay, but I did find them on this one website, and I ended up buying them. And then after buying them, they sent me an email saying, "Thanks for your order. Estimated shipping is going to take 9 to 12 months." And I'm like, oh, I kind of need these things next week, not next year. So I ended up calling them and telling them that. And he basically told me, like, we're honestly not sure when they're going to get here. And he told me, because I bought the 2.0s with 8 inches of travel, he's like, nobody buys those, so they're harder to find. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. So I asked him, like, is it really going to take that long? He basically told me it's probably going to take 3 months. And I'm like, I guess I can wait 3 months. It's probably going to take me 3 months to get this vehicle finished and ready to ride, or ready to test. He also tried to sell me on King 2.5 with the 8 inches of travel, which we don't need the 2.5. Those are just bigger and bigger springs and everything. We need the 2.0s. He also tried to sell me on either King or Fox air shocks. I told him I don't like air shocks. I like the King coilovers. So I told him, let's just stick with that original order, and hopefully they'll get here eventually. Hopefully before I'm ready to test this vehicle. And so what we're going to do in the meantime is, because I know the dimension of them fully extended and them fully compressed, we're going to build some mock-up shocks. I do have 2 of these. These are the 2.0 springs, and I'm basically just going to take square tubing and then figure out the dimension of them fully compressed. And we're just going to kind of use these as mock-up to figure out where the shocks need to be, and then I'm hoping the shocks are going to get here sometime within the next 2 or 3 months, or at least before I'm ready to test this vehicle. Now, I have been talking with Andrew from ArcDroid CNC Plasma Cutter, and he agreed to give me a discount code for you guys, so therefore you can get $150 off when you use the discount code RBW150, and you use my affiliate link in the description below. So again, discount code RBW150, just all capital RBW150, and you can get $150 off when you purchase the ArcDroid Plasma Cutter. Now, we have to make sure that whatever tubing we put in place right here, the tire doesn't hit that tubing when the suspension fully collapses and the tires are turned slightly. I don't think, dang it. I don't think the tires are going to be turned that much when the suspension collapses all the way, but I just want to make sure that if the tires are turned a little bit and the suspension collapses, it's not going to come colliding into this. It's gonna be something like that. How does that look? So it's easy enough making it for one side. The hard part is copying it for the other side and having the exact same dimensions. That's the hard part. It's kind of amazing how just adding 2 pieces of tubing can completely change the look of something. You gotta admit, this thing looks awesome. It completely got rid of the hot tub on wheels look. Oh yeah, plenty of clearance. So before we do any more to the frame and before we do any cross bracing, we kind of need to get the secondary transmission installed and some of the other things we need to build around. Installed on here. So let's start working on getting the secondary transmission installed on here. We need to figure out how high it needs to be and the exact location of this thing. It's going to be kind of easy because I can just copy with the exact position of where it is on the CBR 1000 project and kind of just put it in place right here and then put the sprockets on, build the hubs and everything, and then we can get the rest of the chain put on here. Alright, hopefully I got all the calculations correct. Here goes nothing. So, I did have to do a little bit of filing on this because the holes were just a little bit too small for these 1/2-inch bolts. But it looks like my calculations were correct. Look at that. Looks like I gotta do a tiny bit more filing right there. Oh man, yeah, I don't think this is gonna do 1/4-inch plate steel that's 8 inches wide. So that definitely didn't work. So I quickly made this.
See if it'll work now. Right there. Now, I kind of want to work on next getting this sprocket on the inputs of this transmission. Now, all we got to do is just make a hub that matches the splines on this input shaft. And I do have this, so therefore we can measure the splines off of this to easily recreate it. So, yeah, I've done this before, so it shouldn't be that hard. That just totally dulled that cutter. So, for those who don't remember, this is my horizontal shaper that I found at the scrapyard years ago, and I ended up actually rebuilding this thing. And I do have a couple videos on this. So, surprisingly, this thing is still set up from the last time I used this to cut splines, which is probably like 2 years ago by now. So, and I actually did find some of the old cutters that I used, and I ended up regrinding one of them to be the roughing pass for the splines for this thing. The roughing pass has to be a lot smaller than the finishing pass, therefore we're not taking off too much material at a time. Alright, let's see if this will work. Whoa, what was that? What was that? Something fell. Oh, nice. Nice, this giant 3/4 inch plate just fell. Whoopsies. Alright, I'm trying to find the depth of this thing while trying to... Oh. Okay, that cutter lasted all of 2 seconds. It just chipped right off. Where's the... There it is. Tried to take off a little bit too much. I went down a little bit too much, and yeah, just totally... just totally chipped this thing in half. So, let me grind a new one. That one's done. I should have put a giant chamfer on this all the way around. That would have definitely helped, but I reground another one. Doesn't have quite the angle on the back, so let's hope that this works. Okay, let's try this again. Alright, 3 cuts down, 7 more to go. I'm having to go 100 thou depth, just in case you guys are wondering. The cutter is still... doesn't feel that sharp, but it's still cutting at least. It's slow, but it's working. I am having to hold the clamper box down with a wrench, otherwise it just bumps up and it's not cut. I had to tighten this, as well as I'm holding this thing down. First pass is done. Check that out. Now, I just ground the cutter for the second pass, the final pass. This should bring it to final dimension. Ooh, it looks good. Ooh, it looks like it's got a good surface finish. Alright, moment of truth. See if this thing actually fits on here. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's awesome. It does have a tiny bit of play on here. You can kind of hear it, but you know what? I'm calling it good enough. That's pretty good. So, next thing is let's start machining the sprocket to put onto this hub, and then we can weld it in place.
So we get the sprocket for the input of the transmission installed. We still need to do the hub and the sprocket for the output of this transmission, as well as the bearing. I will be putting bearings on the input and output of this. That's the only way that this works without destroying itself. And then we can finish the mounts for this thing. Yeah, the good thing about basically copying exactly what we did for the CBR 1000 project, I know all the problems we had with that thing, so now I know how to fix it for this project, and it's a lot easier and kind of faster to build it for this project because I know everything I need to do and how to make it work. So, but as far as the gearing, I am still kind of just guessing on what the gearing should be for this vehicle because we're using a different engine, bigger tires, bigger frames. It's a two-seater. I am guessing on what the gearing should be. And then we're just, if we have to change it later, we're just gonna have to change it later to either make it faster. So we're probably gonna have to make it go faster. I think, at least. I don't know. So anyway, we got some good progress done on the frame. As the frame's starting to take shape, it's looking. I really like the way the front end looks on this thing. I think it looks really awesome. So. Next video of this project will continue more on the transmission mounts, the hubs, the sprockets, and the bearings and all that kind of stuff, and get the secondary transmission finalized, and then start working on more of the frame and all that kind of stuff. But for now, I guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.